Furniture How-To, the most all-inclusive site on the net for log and rustic furniture, fixtures, and decor. That's logfurniturehow2.com.
Hey there, check it out. We're just finishing up this 2-tier log plant stand. If you saw last week's video, you got to see step by step how we built this thing. Today I'm going to show you just how easy it is to inlay just about anything into a wooden top and apply a high gloss epoxy finish. So while I get this thing finished up, why don't you spend the next few minutes and enjoy this video. Alright, so as we get started here, the first thing we want to do is go ahead and set this base aside and then go ahead and lay out these little tops to inlay these pennies our customer saved from the fire. Now this should only take a minute to mark these out, and then we're going to take our router and just cut us a little groove all the way around. Alright, so we've taken time to mark these things out right where our pennies go. I'm going to set the pennies aside, and then we're going to take some screws and set these in place so they don't move when we go to route that little groove out. Alright, now we route. And we're just cutting it out enough to set those pennies in there flush. Alright, so let's set these pennies back in place and see how this thing looks. What do you say? That's looking pretty good, huh? So let's go ahead and put on this high gloss epoxy finish. And to do that, you're really only going to need a few things. The directions call for 2 mixing cups and a stir stick. But we're going to get bold today and try a different approach. We're going to use a Ziploc bag to mix it, cut a little hole, and then pour it right out of the bag. Let's see how that works. Now before we start mixing that up, I want to point out one thing. I'm going to use these little bits of cardboard to create a dam where you see these little cracks to keep that liquid from just flowing right through there. I'll take a minute now and go around and plug up all of these. I'm also going to use a piece of this cardboard to help spread the product once we've poured it. So what do you say? Let's get this stuff mixed up. And to do that, we're going to use this mixing cup, this Ziploc bag, and exactly 1 part resin to 1 part hardener. So we're only going to mix up enough to do this in 2 pours. We'll do 2 thin layers. We're going to mix this stuff up good for 2 full minutes. Cut a little hole in the corner, and then we'll go to pouring it. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and cut us a pretty good size hole right here in the corner so we can start spreading it pretty fast. We'll start on the outside and work our way in. You can clearly see one's a lot thicker than the other, but once this stuff cures, we'll come back and do a second coat and make them both even. Alright, so it's been about 5 minutes now, and we want to take time to draw out some of these little air bubbles you see. To do that, we're going to use heat. We're going to stay about 8 inches away from this thing and slowly fan back and forth. And you want to keep this thing moving pretty good or you'll actually burn the product. It's actually not the heat that's drawing out those bubbles, it's the carbon dioxide. Alright, so we're going to let this stuff set up now overnight, and we can come back and do our second pour tomorrow. So this stuff's had a chance to set up, and it's a darn good thing we're doing it in 2 pours, because as you can see, I didn't have these things near level, and it was running right out of some of these cracks. So we'll get set up over here and pour our second and what I hope is our last coat. This time though, we're going to make darn sure both of these things are perfectly level before we pour. Alright, and just like before, we're going to use a Ziploc baggie to mix up the rest of this stuff. We're mixing up equal parts of resin and hardener, and then just like before, we'll take time to mix this up for 2 full minutes. Alright, so we got a pretty good mix. Let's go ahead and cut us a little hole, and then it's the same thing we did yesterday. We're just going to go around on the side that wasn't quite level. Make sure we fill in all those gaps. And I think these cracks will probably self-seal since we already did it yesterday. And just like yesterday, we're just going to spread this stuff out with a little piece of cardboard. Alright then, that's really about all there is to it. That's how to apply a clear epoxy finish. I appreciate you taking time to watch this video. If you haven't done so already, be sure to click subscribe and come on back this same time next week. This has been Mitchell Dillman. We'll see you again next time.